Imagine falling asleep tonight. You close your eyes. The room is dark. The door is locked. No predators are outside. No one is watching you. Your brain can finally shut down. But imagine doing the same thing 100,000 years ago. No locked door, no glass windows, no alarm system, no police, no hospital, just darkness and a world full of things that could kill you. For ancient humans, sleep wasn't simply rest. It was a moment of vulnerability. And every night, when a human closed their eyes, they were essentially giving up one of their most important survival abilities, awareness. So why did humans sleep at all? Why didn't evolution simply make us stay awake all night? And if sleep was so dangerous, how did our ancestors survive it? The answer reveals something fascinating about the way human sleep evolved. Because ancient humans didn't just need sleep, they needed a way to make sleep safe enough to survive. The most vulnerable moment. Think about what happens when you're awake. You hear a strange sound, your eyes open, you look around. You can run, you can fight, you can climb, you can shout for help. But during deep sleep, your body is doing almost the opposite. Your muscles relax, your awareness decreases, your reaction time becomes slower, and your brain temporarily disconnects from the outside world. That's wonderful when you're lying safely in a modern bedroom, but in the ancient world, it could be a serious problem.
A sleeping human couldn't easily notice every sound, couldn't constantly watch the surrounding environment, and couldn't react instantly to danger. A predator didn't need to defeat an alert human. It only needed to find one who wasn't paying attention. This created a strange evolutionary problem. Sleep was necessary, but sleep was dangerous. Your body needed to shut down, but the environment didn't care. You couldn't just sleep anywhere. Today, choosing where to sleep is easy. You might have a bed, a room, a roof, a door, maybe even an alarm system. Ancient humans had none of this. The location of sleep could literally affect survival. A flat area might look comfortable, but it could expose you to predators. A cave might provide shelter, but caves could also have animals inside. Sleeping under a tree might protect you from rain, but it wouldn't necessarily protect you from danger. And sleeping in completely open terrain? That meant visibility for everyone, including predators. So before sleeping, ancient humans had another problem to solve. Where is the safest place to close our eyes? And this is where something very important enters the story: the group. Humans were not built to sleep completely alone. Our ancestors lived socially. They hunted together, they gathered food together, they raised children together, they defended themselves together. And that social lifestyle could also help solve the problem of sleep. Imagine a small group settling down for the night. Some people are sleeping. Others may be lighter sleepers.
Someone wakes up because they hear a sound. Someone moves. Someone notices an animal nearby. One person's awareness can potentially protect another person's sleep. This creates a simple survival advantage. You don't necessarily need everyone to stay awake. You just need enough people to remain alert. It's almost like a primitive security system, except the security system is made of humans. The Night Watch. We shouldn't imagine every ancient human group following a perfectly organized schedule where one person stood guard for exactly 2 hours. Reality was probably much messier. People naturally wake and sleep at different times. Some individuals may be lighter sleepers. Others may sleep more deeply. Children might wake frequently. Adults might respond to sounds. And environmental conditions could change how people slept. But socially, being near other people offered an important advantage. If something unusual happened, someone else might notice it first, and that could be enough. One person hears movement. They wake. They investigate. The others become alert. Suddenly, the entire group is awake. Compare that with one person sleeping alone in the wilderness. If danger approaches quietly, there may be nobody there to notice it. This may help explain why social sleeping could have been so valuable for humans. Not because sleeping together magically made predators disappear, but because more people meant more opportunities to detect danger. Fire changed the night. Then there was fire. Fire was one of the greatest technologies humans ever controlled. It provided warmth, it helped cook food, it offered light, and at night it created something incredibly important: visibility. Darkness is terrifying when you don't know what's around you, but fire changes the equation. Suddenly, the space around your sleeping area becomes visible. Shapes can be seen, movement becomes easier to detect, and some animals may avoid approaching an active fire. But fire didn't make humans invincible. It simply gave them another layer of protection. A group inside a sheltered location, near a fire, was a much safer sleeping environment than one person lying alone in complete darkness. And this may have created a powerful combination: shelter, fire, group protection. Together, they reduced some of the dangers of sleeping. But there was another problem. Even if predators weren't around, the environment itself could be dangerous. Cold temperatures, heavy rain, strong winds, flooding, extreme heat, insects, smoke, unstable shelter. A sleeping human couldn't simply get up and move every few seconds. The whole purpose of sleep was to remain still for long enough to recover. That meant the sleeping environment had to be reasonably safe. And this is one reason human beings became remarkably good at creating sleeping places. We didn't just sleep, we engineered places to sleep. The first beds were not luxury. When you hear the word bed, you probably imagine a mattress, soft pillows, blankets, maybe a comfortable bedroom. But early sleeping surfaces could be extremely simple: grass, leaves, plant material, animal skins, natural depressions in the ground. The goal wasn't necessarily comfort. The goal was survival. A sleeping surface could help separate the body from cold ground. It could provide insulation. It could make an uneven surface easier to tolerate. And it could make a chosen sleeping location more predictable. Over thousands of generations, humans became increasingly skilled at creating better sleeping environments. Eventually, the simple sleeping place became the bed, and the bed eventually became something that today seems completely normal. But underneath it is an ancient problem. How do you safely stop being alert for several hours? Sleep itself wasn't the enemy here. Here's where the story gets interesting. Sleep wasn't actually the problem. Being unable to sleep safely was the problem, because sleep provides enormous biological benefits. The brain needs periods of reduced awareness. The body needs recovery. Memory processing occurs during sleep. The nervous system needs regulation, and many biological systems depend on regular sleep. So evolution faced a trade-off. A human that never slept would eventually suffer serious consequences, but a human who slept in a completely unsafe environment could become vulnerable. So humans needed both sleep and protection during sleep, and our social behavior may have helped provide exactly that. Why humans may have slept differently. Modern humans often imagine sleep as one long block. You go to bed, you sleep, you wake up. But human sleep isn't necessarily that simple. People naturally experience brief awakenings throughout the night. And historically, sleep patterns could vary depending on culture, environment, season, light exposure, temperature, and social conditions. This means ancient humans weren't necessarily lying motionless for 8 perfect hours. They could shift, wake, listen, move, check the environment, then fall asleep again. Imagine lying beside a fire. You hear something. Your eyes open. You look around. Nothing. The fire is still burning. Your group is nearby. You relax, and you go back to sleep. That tiny awakening could have been useful. It meant the brain wasn't completely disconnected from the environment for the entire night. Your brain never completely stops watching. Even when you're asleep, your brain isn't simply turned off. It continues processing information. Sounds can still influence sleep. Sudden noises can wake you. Unfamiliar sounds can be more disturbing than familiar ones. This is important because your sleeping brain still has a relationship with the environment. Imagine sleeping somewhere you've never been. Every sound is unfamiliar. A branch breaks. An animal moves. Wind hits the shelter. Someone nearby makes a strange noise. Your brain has no idea whether the sound matters, so it may wake you. Now imagine sleeping in the same place repeatedly. The same sounds happen every night. The wind, the fire, the people around you, the normal movements of the environment. Your brain can learn what is harmless. This is one reason familiar environments can make sleep easier. And ancient humans likely experienced this too. Their sleeping environment wasn't random. They could learn the sounds of their surroundings. But what about predators? This is where our imagination often becomes exaggerated. We picture ancient humans constantly fighting giant predators every night. That probably wasn't the normal experience for every human group. Predator danger varied enormously depending on geography, time period, habitat, and local animals. But predators were still a real ecological pressure. And humans had something many predators didn't have: cooperation. A lion has teeth. A leopard has claws. A human has something different. Another human. And another. And another. A group can communicate, warn each other, make noise, use fire, throw objects, defend children, move together. This changes the balance. A lone human is vulnerable. A coordinated group is much harder to deal with. And that may be one reason social living became such an important part of human survival. Even when everyone was asleep, they weren't completely alone. Children made group sleep even more important. Now imagine an ancient child sleeping alone. A child is smaller, slower, more vulnerable, less capable of defending itself. This makes protection from adults extremely important. Sleeping near parents or other members of the group could provide physical warmth and security. If something happened, an adult could respond. This doesn't mean ancient families always slept in exactly the same arrangement. Human societies have always been diverse. But the general principle is simple. Vulnerable individuals benefit from nearby protection. And children weren't the only vulnerable members. Injured people, older people, pregnant women, anyone who couldn't quickly escape danger. Group living provided an additional layer of security. The strange price of sleeping alone. Today, privacy feels normal. You close your bedroom door, you turn off the lights, and you expect nobody to bother you. But imagine telling an ancient human, "I want to sleep completely alone, far away from everyone else." They might have asked, why? Because from a survival perspective, isolation at night could be a terrible idea. Being alone meant fewer eyes, fewer ears, fewer people to react to danger. Fewer people to help if something went wrong. So something that feels peaceful to us, privacy, might once have been a luxury with a survival cost. And then humans changed the equation. Over thousands of years, humans developed better shelters, better clothing, better tools, better weapons, better control of fire, better settlements. Eventually, walls, doors, buildings, and much later, locks, electric lights, security systems, and eventually, the modern bedroom. Every invention solved a small part of the ancient sleep problem. The more control humans gained over their environment, the less dangerous sleep became. You no longer needed 10 people around a fire to feel protected. You could simply close a door. But your brain still remembers the old world. And here's the strangest part. The environment changed incredibly quickly compared with biological evolution. Your brain still comes from a world where nighttime can mean danger. Darkness mattered, unexpected sounds mattered, being separated from the group mattered. Sudden movement mattered, and your brain still responds to some of these signals. That's why a strange noise at 2 a.m. can instantly wake. You can be completely safe inside a modern house, and your brain still says, "What was that?" A tiny sound, a floorboard, a window, a distant animal. Suddenly, your heart beats faster, your eyes open, you listen. For a few seconds, you become the ancient human again. So why was sleep dangerous? Not because sleep itself was harmful. Sleep was dangerous because it temporarily removed one of your greatest survival advantages, awareness. Ancient humans had to solve that problem. They found safety through combinations of shelter, fire, social groups, familiar environments, protective sleeping arrangements, and natural patterns of waking and sleeping. The human solution wasn't to eliminate sleep, it was to create an environment where sleep could happen safely. And perhaps that's one of the most important lessons hidden inside our ancient sleep history. Humans didn't evolve to sleep because the world was safe. We evolved ways to make sleep possible, even when the world wasn't safe. The modern irony. Today, the danger has changed. Most of us aren't worried about a predator entering the room. We aren't listening for footsteps outside a cave. We aren't sleeping beside a fire because the temperature might drop dangerously overnight. Yet many people still struggle to sleep. We lie in bed, surrounded by technology, with a roof above us, a locked door, and no predators nearby. And still, we can't switch off. Why? Because our brains evolved in a world where staying alert mattered. The ancient brain learned, don't relax too much. Listen, watch, check, be ready. That instinct helped our ancestors survive. But in a modern bedroom, it can sometimes become unnecessary. The environment became safer. The brain didn't completely rewrite itself. So tonight, when you turn off the lights, think about what is actually happening. For millions of years, humans had to find ways to sleep in a dangerous world. They slept beside others. They used fire. They searched for shelter. They listened to the darkness. They woke when something felt wrong. And then, they closed their eyes again. Generation after generation, humans survived the night. And eventually, we created a world where you can lie down alone, close a door, turn off a light, and simply disappear into sleep. The strange thing is, your brain still carries the memory of the night when sleep wasn't safe. That sudden feeling when you hear a noise in the dark, that instinct to check your surroundings, that moment when you wake up for no obvious reason, it may be your ancient survival system quietly asking one question: